The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Waking humanity, one soul at a time. This is the World You Don't Know radio show with your host, Nick O'Connell.
Now, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're very welcome along to this week's edition of The World You Don't Know. Myself, Mick O'Connell, and in the studio, hold on, I just want to turn my headphones down, they're a bit loud. I don't have someone in the studio tonight, I do have someone via Skype. I have Alan James from Open Your Mind Radio Ireland coming on in a minute or so. And we're just going to be shooting the breeze about everything that's going on lately. And in particular, we will be touching on what went on in Manchester last week. There's a lot of talk online that it was a false flag. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it wasn't. But there are a lot of funny, unanswered questions in relation to that, so we're going to get into that. We'll be getting into the Donald as usual. I mean, he dominates the headlines these days, and he's been acting a maggot, I suppose, for want of a better word, over the last few days. I don't know if anyone's seen him on the news the other day. He was at the NATO conference, and he quite aggressively pushed the Prime Minister of Montenegro out of his way so that he could stand front centre stage. I mean, he couldn't make this stuff up, the man's a lunatic. But as I said before in the show, Donald Trump is making the news very interesting, and that's the only reason I like the man. Personally, I think he's a New World Order lackey. He's doing everything they want, signing big deals with Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. So, you know, we'll get into the Donald as well, and we're also going to be hopefully talking about the corruption that's going on in this country, particularly around the Garda over the last few weeks. Some serious revelations coming out about cover-ups and whatnot, so, you know, we'll definitely get into that. Anyway, I'm going to go to Al. Good evening, Al.
I can hear you now, yeah.
Sorry about that. We just had some technical issues here on my end. We've got two computers here. We've got Skype on both. And me thinking I'm being a bit of a smart ass, I signed in on the top computer and it doesn't seem to work. So I had to play a song, sign out and sign back in again. So here I am, Al, anyway. Listen, Al, you're very welcome onto the show. It's great to talk to you again.
Cheers for having me on.
No
How
problem.
Are you doing?
I'm not too bad, Al. Not too bad in yourself.
Yeah, not too bad. Getting on, you know.
And how's your sidekick, Steve? How's he doing? Hope he's keeping well.
Yeah, Steve's doing well. He's working hard as usual, so we don't stress him out too much and getting involved with too many things because he's enough on his plate at the moment.
That's true. So haven't we all? Now, I don't know if you heard the intro. I don't know if you could hear anything my end. But what I was saying was, there's a few things we can touch on this evening. We haven't done a catch up now in a while. And with everything that went on last week in Manchester, we've got plenty to talk about. Now, in relation to Manchester, as you're probably well aware, Al, there's an awful lot of videos popping up all over YouTube saying it was a false flag. I don't know if it was or not, but there are a few unanswered questions. One thing I do know that was on the mainstream media, a couple of things actually. One being that the fire services in Manchester were quite annoyed that they weren't allowed into the arena for 90 minutes after the alleged bomb went off. And not only that, another funny or strange thing that occurred as well, that was reported in the mainstream media, in the Daily Mail I believe, was that one of the victims' photographs that was circulated as being one of the victims of the bombing turns out to have been a dead girl from Australia who had died maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know if you've seen anything about that. What's your view?
Yeah, I did. I think first of all, Mick, what we need to do is define false flag. My understanding of false flag doesn't mean that it was all made up with actors. And it was, was put on like a show. Things do happen. And 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Now, you could call 9/11 a false flag for the simple reason is we know it was problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialectic. So if we ever say false flag, it could be either a made up acting scenario just to give people the impression something happened, or it could be a real situation
where people do actually die.
Yeah, exactly. But false flag meaning that it was controlled, it was manipulated and organised. So I think, we have to define the word false flag with that. I have looked at a little bit of information regarding Manchester. We know there's a bigger picture going on. But something that I read out that Max Egan put up on his Facebook yesterday, and I'm just kind of putting it out there. Max Egan said that the Manchester attack was carried out by a man, 22 years of age, at 22:33 p.m. on the night of May the 22nd at longitude -2.2, killing 22 people. So he says, does anyone think some Muslim randomly could have actually planned all this?
and have a coincidence such as that. And I mean, I don't believe in coincidences anyway. Now, I did see a lot of posts about previous attacks all around the world, Paris, Rome, and other places that happened on the 22nd of whatever month they occurred on. You know, they were spread out over different months, but it was always on the 22nd. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is in relation to Skull and Bones, you know, 322, which is their magic number, if you will.
Yeah, there seems to be an awful lot of things going on around the 22nd, and I suppose whether it's a satanic ritual or something like that on the Skull and Bones, or, you know, maybe just because they're very focused on dates. They love their dates, they love their rituals, they love their numbers. So it only makes sense that 22nd obviously means something to them as well. Now, I've seen the same thing you did going around the internet, Mick, and I would just, if I had the time, I'd like to look into that and confirm that all them dates, them things happened on them dates, rather than just accept it. You know?
Now, one thing I did notice, I mean, you mentioned there a few minutes ago the Hegelian dialectic, and to anyone who doesn't know what that is, that's problem, reaction, solution. The government will create a problem because they want to further a particular agenda. Now, in the case of Manchester, and this is just a hypothetical theory on my part, if it was a false flag, and the Hegelian dialectic was employed to carry out this event, well, the way you would look at it is problem, reaction, solution. The problem, suicide bombing in Manchester, a lot of people get killed. The reaction, the public are up in arms. What are you going to do to protect us? And then the solution, put British Army troops on the streets of Britain, which is what they probably wanted to do. And then they got their excuse to do that. And now it's either that, and there is manipulation going on behind the scenes, or it's a case of the government not allowing a good disaster to go to waste.
That's it. Well, that's it. That's exactly what you want. Problem, reaction, solution. I mean, it works all the time, and people fall for it all the time. I mean, what's happening now? Well, people are seeing the police going around with weapons on a daily basis. And if they want to bring in martial law, I mean, the whole idea is that they keep people in fear, because fear is a lower vibration. Yeah. And they keep frightening them, saying, "Oh, there might be another attack. There might be another attack." And people actually fell for this and start saying, "Well, I'm not going to book a flight here, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do that." And basically, you know, what we need to do is not fall for that. Yeah. Not fall and go into the fear, and because people will give up their rights for, you know, to be so they don't get hurt.
No, I was.
You know, if you see a gang of thugs coming down the road and somebody says to you, "Look, I can save you here, but you're going to have to give up your rights, you know, for me to save you." That's what happens. People do it.
If you're living in fear of this gang attacking you, of course you're going to give up your rights for better security. Now, one thing that people have been saying to me was that, like, I was showing a video last night, for example. Someone forwarded me a video of one of the... It was a gay boyfriend of one of the victims, a male victim, and his boyfriend was on... It was one of these morning live news programs. He was being interviewed about how he felt about his friend's death and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm someone who, I will watch somebody's body language, particularly when they're getting interviewed and stuff like that. And this guy's body language was all over the place, and he was displaying the classic duping delight signals. And was very, very smiley throughout the interview. You know, when the impression I got was that he wasn't talking about someone who'd recently died. Do you know what I mean? He was just... I don't know, there was just something about the guy. I'm not saying he wasn't a real victim in all of this scenario. I don't know. It's just, his body language to me was very, very suspect. Now, I don't know if you've seen that video yourself, but these videos tend to crop up quite a lot after these events.
They do. I didn't see that myself, but it just reminds me of the guy in Sandy Hook, where in the background before he was interviewed, he was smiling and laughing.
Yeah, Robbie Parker.
And as soon as they called him forward, you know, his face changed. Yeah, and he went into the acting pose, and this is what they do. And I've seen, you know, because Mick, you're involved in the techie stuff as well. I've played around with green screen, and a lot of the movie, all people have to do is go off to Hollywood. Go off to YouTube and look at the Hollywood movies, and everything is green screen and everything's superimposed. And when you see how great they do things, you would really think that where they are is exactly, you know, that's happening, and it's there, and it's not as all green screen. And I don't know whether you've seen the video that was going around where they actually they had some bombs go off, some fake bombs go off, and all these actors run in and jump on the ground and start, you know, rolling around as if they're in pain, and the camera starts rolling. And it's just amazing how they do it and how they can fool us. So I don't know. I wasn't in Manchester. I didn't see it. I wasn't there. They need to make it real. They need to fool. I mean, there's 20,000 people in the arena. So if it was a false flag and fake, they would have needed to obviously have actors in there, and you'd need to have a boom or banging sound so it did go off so people could hear something. So everybody will, as eyewitnesses, or they'd hear it and go, yeah, we heard the banging noise. So I don't know. I wasn't there.
Now, the one thing I did notice about social media, I mean, you know, we're truthers, Alan. This is what we do. You know, we look at this kind of stuff all the time. You know, the average Joe Soap will see this on the news and they forget about it 10 minutes later and go back to their football or whatever else it is they like. But you know yourself, Alan, myself and people like yourself, we constantly look at this stuff. We're constantly monitoring the news for the bullshit that does get propagandised on the news. Yeah. But one thing I've noticed this time around, like, when Sandy Hook happened, or when 9/11 happened, or 7/7 happened, all these other questionable events that, you know, we are calling false flags because they're questionable events, the official story never stacks up. When we go on the radio and we talk about these things, or we talk about them amongst family and friends, you know, they don't jump down our necks about them. Some people sit and listen and say, oh, I didn't know that, I didn't realise that. But the thing about this Manchester one, it's a little too close to home for a lot of Irish people, and you can't even talk about it to people. They're jumping down your neck if you even attempt to say it's a false flag.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we talk about the fluid belief system on OYM, and I've seen some comments on Facebook, and people saying, "Don't even come near me with the false flag thing."
Yeah, I've seen comments like that. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but you know, if you're not prepared to at least keep an open mind and be able to talk about it, then that's a closed mind approach.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was real or false flag, if you cannot look at the other side of the coin, then that's pretty closed mind to me.
Yeah, see, when I see these events, Al, I don't even bother too much looking at the initial event. If I hear it's happened, I say, okay, it's happened. I don't bother delving too deeply into it. I watch the news for the next couple of days then to see what they're going to do. And this is what I've been doing with the Manchester thing all week. What's the British government's next move? Boom. But in 24 hours, Al, they had troops on the streets. Over 5,000 British troops. And they're not going to remove them. They're going to increase the number of troops.
Yeah. And of course, the people will go, yeah, that's the solution. Yeah, they should do that. And they fall straight for it. Now, the other thing that I said on our show last night, being devil's advocate, was what happens when there's a wedding party in Iraq with 50 people and they send a rocket in and kill 50 people that are in a wedding, and nobody bats an eyelid.
Because it's over there. Now, I had this conversation last week. You're involved in the men sheds down in Clonmel, and I actually work them on up here in Dublin 12 hours, you know. And we were having this conversation last Tuesday about Manchester, what went on there and stuff like that. Now, I never opened my mouth. I never even mentioned the word false flag, although I had my suspicions at the time. But the conversation was pretty much, oh, that's terrible what's happening there. And everybody at the table agreed, of course it's terrible, you know. People died and children died especially. It's an absolutely disgusting thing to happen. But I quipped at the very end of the conversation, oh, by the way, 68 children were murdered in Syria today when a bus was blown up. And the response was, but that's over there. I was like, hang on a minute, 68 children were murdered. What's the difference between that and 22 people have been murdered in Manchester? There is no difference. They're both heinous crimes. Why can't you condemn one and not the other?
Yeah, exactly. This is it, you know, and I find that, you know, and they'll say, oh, well, it was collateral damage because there was one member of Voices in the congregation and we had to get him, so it was worth killing the 50 for the one. You know, it just, we know the New World Order, we know what they get up to, and it was kind of said to me this way, time and time again, people keep putting their morals on these people and they go, how can they do that? These people are sick, how can they do that? And I said, well, because these guys are psychopaths and brainwashed.
Yeah, they have no empathy towards other human beings.
That's it. And because you're not a psychopath and you're not brainwashed, you have morals and you have empathy. These people don't. Now, these elites are so psychopathic that if they went to a chip shop and there was a queue of people there, they throw in a grenade, kill everybody just to get to the top. Yeah. This is how sick these people are.
Yeah. And people need to realise that, listen, I need to go to my first set of ad break, should I say. And do you mind muting your mic for a couple of minutes? I have you on the same fader, that'd be great. Folks, we'll be back in 2 minutes with Alan James from OYM. Talk to you very shortly.
Broadcasting to Lucan, this is Liffey Sound, 96.4 FM.
Now, folks, you're very welcome back. Al, you're still with me, aren't you?
I am indeed.
That's great. Folks, if you ever want to text in, the text line number is 087 062 7138, and feel free to text in if you have any comments to make. Now, Al, I'm going to move on now to the Donald. I think we should talk about the Donald for a minute or two. I don't know if you've seen him lately now, the carry on of the man. He's been doing massive arms deals with Saudi Arabia, which, as we all know, Al, is probably one of the worst regimes on the planet, and here he is doing some sort of a weird, I don't know if you've seen that ritual that he done where they all put their hands on some sort of a luminous ball. Did you see that, did you?
I did indeed. I had to laugh when Saudi Arabia were voted onto the Human Rights Council
of the United Nations.
They behead 2 people a day. If you cough in the wrong direction, they chop your head off. Yeah. And then this is human rights, and they obviously what they do with the women, the restrictions they have on the women as well. I mean, seriously, we are in an open air asylum.
It is a bit nuts now. I mean, Donald Trump signing a $125 billion dollar arms deal with Saudi Arabia, and I asked this question last week in relation to that deal. Who's Saudi Arabia at war with? Why do they need so much weaponry?
Well, America's bankrupt, Mick. That's it. That's where the money. That's what it's all about. It's about getting the money. The Saudis have signed it, and they'll produce the weaponry, and because they need the money. And you have to ask, for all this money that we owe, this trillions and trillions of dollars, and all this debt that we owe, who do we owe it to?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen memes on Facebook about that online. You know, about the world being something like $200 trillion in debt. But to whom?
Yeah, exactly. To whom? So the system, this Ponzi scheme, is going to. There's a lot of talk about what's going on at the moment, and the 3 different people that we've come across mentioned the same time period: September, October. Now, I don't want to get caught up in dates, because every bloody time we do that, nothing happens. So it's not scaremongering, but it's just interesting. I'm just putting it out there. It's just interesting that they all kind of say, at the end of summer, come September, October, that something may happen. And that could be let's put it this way: the financial system's going to collapse, because it can't keep going the way it's going. They are still printing money, quantitative easing, putting it out there. That's why the system's been held up, because they're printing all this money. But that causes inflation and devalues the currency. So they can't keep doing it. They just can't keep doing it. So the system, something has to give, and the system is going to collapse. And this is why the Bitcoin and currency, all that seems to be shooting up in price, because I was watching Cliff High today, and he said that a lot of these elites are moving over to Bitcoin because they know that the currency is going to collapse. As for the Donald, well, I haven't really seen much. I've seen him hold the globe and do the kumbaya stuff with the Saudis. I haven't a clue what that was all about. Probably some ritual that we'll never know about. And him pushing through, obviously, the crowd.
I seen him doing that there the other day. He pushed the Prime Minister of Montenegro out of his way, so he could stand centre stage saying, "I'm the Donald, look at me."
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I think, we were told that the Donald was given the choice between the good guys and the bad guys. And we thought, well, he might kind of do the right thing and go with the good guys. But obviously, the way things are going at the moment, signing arms deals and stuff like that, it looks like he's gone on the negative side and he's lost the plot. So we'll just have to see what happens. But, they want... we have heard, and we don't know... As of now, this is a situation. But this might change. But we were told within the next few weeks, Donald will be taken out. He'll be removed as president, and Hillary will be put in. Then Hillary will be having a go at Russia because of fixing the election, and then she'll kick off everything from there.
Do you think that's going to happen?
We've been told from inside information that is, as of now, that's on the cards. But what happens is things change.
Now, I've been watching some stuff, and this thing, I don't know if you're aware of it, called the Nasara Republic. Benjamin Fulford talks about it, a few other people talk about it. But basically what it is that they want to do a global currency reset and stuff like that. But in order for them to do that, Donald Trump has to be impeached. Now, I mean, he's been admitting lately that there's been contact between him and the Russians and stuff like that. And they're investigating him left, right and centre, trying to link him to the Russians and to this election scandal and whatnot. If it turns out, and this is what I've been hearing now through the Nasara Republic and that, what they say is going to happen is that He will get himself impeached. He will, I mean, like the Saudi arms deal, there was probably a lot of illegalities, to get this deal signed. He signed it so quickly. This could be the undoing of the Trump administration. And if that's the case, from what I've heard is that apparently he's probably one of the good guys, because what he's apparently going to do, and like Alan just said, folks, don't quote us on any of this, because some of this stuff might never come to fruition. There's so much stuff that's bandied around the internet about what could be going on. But in relation to the global currency reset, what needs to happen is that he needs to be impeached to expose the fact that his presidency is a corporate structure, and America is a corporation, and that he will expose this to the world. And then public arrests of all the cabal are going to start taking place. This is the rumour that's going around. Whether it's going to happen, I don't know. Now, I don't know what you've heard about anything like that.
Well, we've heard that the financial system is geared to crash about October. And obviously the elites will probably be aware of this as well, and they'll have to put, this is why the Bitcoin thing is happening, while they're all investing in digital currency. But they've tried to crash the system over and over again. For over the last year, they've tried to crash it, and it's been stopped from being crashed, because what we don't want to happen is that the system crashes and then the elites come in with a new Babylonian money system, and we start off again, and the whole thing starts again. We don't want that to happen. Now, the Nasara thing, well, that's been going on for years. We had Gordon James Gananoto on our show a while ago last year, and Gordon said, I've been hearing about this for 25 years, and what you hear is it's the dings and the dongs and the dinars and everything else, and they go, oh yeah, it's going to be reset, and this money's going to be released and everybody's going to get loads of money, and it's going to happen on Tuesday. And then Tuesday comes along and go, oh, here it comes. No, it didn't work. This has been going on for over 25 years, right? It's the emotional roller coaster. And it's getting to be a laugh now that every time you have people on YouTube going, I've just got inside information and we've been told that the Nasara is going to happen on Friday. And every time that they say that, it never happens.
Now, I was talking to someone a couple of weeks ago now, I won't mention who, and the information that they were getting, that, they weren't latching onto it, but the kind of information they were looking at was that all of this is going to go down within the next 3 to 4 weeks. That Donald Trump, he's going to be undone, but in being impeached, it will expose the corporate structure of America, which a lot of people don't know. Most Americans are going around with blinkers on, thinking that they live in a democratic free republic, when nothing could be further from the truth. We know it's a corporate structure. We just have to look at the way it's run. It's a corporate structure. I mean, I even heard the term there the other day, America's an oil company or an army. Yeah,
that makes sense, yeah. Well, you're right in one way. I mean, whether Donald gets impeached or he gets taken out, but if Hillary takes over, which is the plan of the elites, then I can't see any Nasara happening, to be honest with you.
But can you honestly, seriously see Hillary Clinton taking over the Oval Office, like, if Donald Trump gets impeached? Would Mike Pence not be next in line then, no?
Well, I don't know what the situation would be there. See, I don't know what would happen and how they'll work it their way. If Donald is impeached, they'll work it in a way that Hillary get in. I mean, you know what they're like for rigging things. I mean, they put George Bush in, for God's sake, and he couldn't string 2 words together.
Yeah.
So they have their methods in their way. Now, as I said, that's what we were told up to now, but that might change. So again, all I'll say to people, as usual, is just make sure that you are in a position that you have food for at least 2 or 3 weeks, and that if the electricity goes for whatever reason, that you have candles and you can get power, and you have a bit of cash in your hip as well, because we're in fantastic times at the moment, because there's so much change going on, and we're going through it's like a woman giving birth, right? It's all the pushing, the shoving and the screaming and everything else, right? And that's what we're going through now. But when the actual baby is born, that's when things are going to get better. Now, we've been told that we are going through the birth canal at the moment, and this is what we're experiencing, all this financial upheaval and, chemtrails and poisons and all this stuff, because it's the last-ditch attempt by the elites to try and bring down the system.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed to myself, Albert, with everything that's going on around the world, things seem to be speeding up.
Yeah, Yeah, things are speeding up. Time is going faster. We are traveling through a different area of the universe at the moment. Everything, the whole planetary thing, and of course the vibration and the energy that's hitting the planet. The one thing that people will notice is that people are beginning to lose the plot, right? Sane people are losing the plot. Things are happening that shouldn't be happening, and people are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, just losing the plot. And that's because the energy vibration that's hitting the planet from the central part of the galaxy is having a major effect on people, and the people who are not resonating on the proper frequency are being affected with it. They can't manage it, and that's why we're seeing like a certain level of madness on the planet. And again, I was watching Cliff Hoy today. He's a good guy, Cliff. He's very dead on, and he has the WebBot program.
The WebBot programming, yeah.
Yeah, and he said the same thing. He said he can see through his analysis and his research with the WebProp program that because of this energy hitting the planet, it's affecting people in so many different ways.
But do you think we spoke about this conscious awareness that's grown on this planet? I see a lot of people who I wouldn't have considered, awake and stuff like that, who are starting to question an awful lot of stuff now, particularly vaccines and stuff like that. They're starting to question what's been printed in the newspapers about people, and people, as I said, who I wouldn't ordinarily see as awake, who would have just been going along to get along. And there seems to be an awful lot more and more people waking up. You even have to look at social media the way they're trying to shut social media down completely, because as far as the elites are concerned, it's getting out of hand. There's too much truth coming to the surface. It's even the same in this country with all the scandals going on with the Gardaí. I mean, when I was growing up, the word scandal and Gardaí did not go hand in hand. Now, over the last 5 or 6 years, it seems to be one scandal after the next. Like the latest one there with Maurice McCabe. And the phone that was allegedly used by the Garda Commissioner during the alleged smear campaign against Maurice McCabe has now gone missing.
Yeah, well, look at Shawnee Fitzpatrick. He gets acquitted.
Yeah.
But yet Stephen Manning, who was fighting in court, they didn't let him put his case across, and he locked him up for 2 months.
For 2 months, yeah.
We have a two-tier judicial system in Ireland. It's a banana republic. We have one level for the 1%, the elites, and the other tier is for the man in the street. And we'll never get justice because it's as corrupt as anything. The judges, the politicians, and even most of the solicitors, I won't say all of them, but most of them, they're all connected to the bar courts. Their loyalty is to the bar. We know that. We've got that confirmed. And it's just banana republic. But I'd like to think somewhere down the line, because I do believe in karma, and there's so many reasons why I believe it, and we don't have time to talk about it, but there's so many, karma is an energy.
Yeah.
Right? It's a universal law. It's an energy. And it's like a boomerang, you throw a boomerang out and it comes back.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example of karma now that you just brought it up, and this is only something that happened last night in my own house. A few weeks ago, my son, he was on his way home. I think he was on his way to work at 6:30 in the morning, and he found an iPhone. But about 5 minutes before he found the iPhone, this was an iPhone 7, it was practically brand new. About 5 minutes before he found the iPhone, he seen somebody he thought he knew. Just walking down the other side of the street, and never thought any more of it. But when he came home, he said, I'm going to find an iPhone there, I said, well, look, try and find out who owns it and give it back. So we done a little bit of digging around, and lo and behold, we did find the guy who owned it. He didn't live too far from us, but we managed to get the phone back to him. And the guy was delighted, because his life was on the phone, photographs, stuff like that, and all these numbers. And I said to my son at the time, I said, look, what goes around comes around. Something nice will happen to you. But anyway, he was on his way home last night, jogging home from his friend's house to get home for work this morning. Anyway, what happened to him was he lost his phone. So what I did was I rang the phone, but no one answered. And then 2 minutes later, someone rang my phone back, and lo and behold, it was a guy who found his phone, exchanged addresses, and he got his phone back to him in 20 minutes. That's a very good example of karma, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I've seen an awful lot of that happen now. More and more people are beginning to get it. As you say, they're waking up, they're realising their consciousness is shifting. Again, it's down to energies as well. But, we always say in OYM, ignorance is a choice. So people cannot turn around and say, I didn't know about it. Well, you can find out about it because there's loads of information on the internet if you want to know about something. Now, also, at the same time, discernment is very important because there's so much crap on the internet. It's unreal what's out there. So you have to do your discernment, you have to do your research and talk to people. But I have to laugh. Some guy on Facebook turned around and said, "Oh, I don't believe in the law of gravity." And I felt like saying to him, "Well, I tell you what, mate, you just walk off a building there and see what happens."
Yeah.
I don't think gravity gives a damn what way you think. I think if you walk off the edge of the building, you're gonna fall. And karma is the same thing. And as I say, for a number of reasons, I won't go into detail, but basically karma has come back to OYM and me and Steve, and it's fantastic when it happens. Well, I just think generally, as you say, the consciousness of the planet, things are speeding up. Time is getting faster. And weeks are going by, and you think, wow, God, it's the end of the week already. That went really fast.
Yeah.
So the things are kind of warming up. And some people believe, I'm not saying I do, but some people believe that 2017 is actually 2012.
Do you know what? Now, you're not the first person to have said that to me, because I've noticed since Christmas so much has happened this year so far. You know, particularly with people's consciousness raising up. You know, like if you look at Manchester, what happened there, right? Now, you know, go back 2 or 3 years to Sandy Hook. When Sandy Hook happened, most of America believed Sandy Hook happened and it went down the way the government said it did. Except for so-called conspiracy theorists or truthers. You know, we all come out and seen it for what it was and said, that's a false flag. It doesn't add up. There's a lot of things that are out of the ordinary here and it doesn't seem right. But now, with Manchester last week, there's a lot of ordinary people who are waking up and saying, hang on a minute, there's something funny going on there. Yeah, you know, even the fire service in Manchester saying, hang on, why weren't we allowed into that stadium for 90 minutes? What's going on? This was a disaster. We should have been the first ones in there.
Yeah, maybe they're afraid that if it was a false flag, as in an acting kind of scenario, that the firemen would actually see it and go, hang on a minute, this person doesn't have a dodgy leg. Yeah. That's all fake blood. So maybe that's why they weren't allowed in. And this is why we have to ask questions and not just accept what's in the media. Yeah.
And unfortunately this week, as you said yourself, there was an awful lot of truthers out there who were, you know, putting out posts saying, you know, don't even say it was a false flag because it wasn't. But like we said, Al, at the start of this conversation, false flags do not mean that it was just all actors. People do get killed at false flag events, 9/11 being a perfect example. Do you know what I mean? So we're not saying they're staged or acted out scenarios. People do die at these events, but they're not what the mainstream media are telling you. Listen, Al, I need to go to my last break. Do you mind hanging on for 2 minutes?
No problem.
You don't need to mute your mic this time. I have it on a different fader. So folks, we'll be back in 2 minutes with Alan James. Talk to you very shortly.
Local programmes, local presenters, local news. Tune to Liffey Sound 96.4 FM.
Now folks, you're very welcome back. Alan, you're still there, aren't you?
I am indeed.
That's brilliant. Now, just before the break there, we were talking about this raising of consciousness, and more people who ordinarily wouldn't be awake are waking up. Now, I want to use that statement to jump into my next subject, which is, it's two things I'm going to talk about, and I know you don't really discuss them much on your show, and I've barely touched on them on my show. One is the flat earth and one is the Mandela effect. Now, the flat earth, whether we live in a globe or a flat surface, is irrelevant. You know, the world as we know it is in serious bloody jeopardy if things keep going the way they're going, with what the elites are up to and stuff like that. So the shape of the planet doesn't really bother me. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if it's flat, I don't know if it's round. I haven't been up in space to look back down, so I don't know. And I'm certainly not going to take any government's word for it that it's any shape or another. I mean, Neil deGrasse Tyson now was saying it's pear-shaped, so, you know, it's no longer round anymore. But another thing then is the Mandela effect. I'm not sure if you looked into it too much. Now, I've looked into it a small bit and, you know, had a gander around it. And there seems to be more and more Mandela effects coming up. Now, most of them I wouldn't have remembered whether something was one way or another, and, you know, has it been changed by this so-called Mandela effect. But one thing I do remember, Alan, and I know I'm not nuts, was the A-Team van. Now, I watched the A-Team growing up as a child. I even had the van as a model van growing up as a child, as a toy. And I do distinctly remember that van was all black with a red stripe going up the side of it. Now, I don't know what colour you remember it as, but I remember it as all black with a stripe going up the side of it. Now, apparently that van is black and grey on top. The top half of the van is grey with a red stripe going up the side of it. That's not my memory of that van. But some people have spoken to today and said, you know, over the last couple of weeks about it, they've said, oh no, Mick, it was always grey and black. But that's not how I remember it. How do you remember it, Alan?
I remember it as all black with
Right.
a red stripe.
So now, if you go onto the internet, it's definitely grey. The top half of the van is grey, like a gunmetal grey, and the bottom half is black. So that's not how I remember it. So what I'm wondering, Al, is has someone deliberately? I mean, no, they can if they really want to. Has somebody deliberately changed all the information that's online through whatever stroke of genius, I don't know, to try and make truthers look nuts for even discussing these subjects?
But it's not that, Mick. The thing is, and here's another one, by the way. In Monopoly, I remember the Monopoly picture of the guy with the top hat having a monocle.
Yeah, he does,
If you look at Monopoly now, the guy doesn't have a monocle.
He doesn't?
No.
Right, well, I'm just going to get a Google page up here now, because I want to look at that now. That's one I wasn't aware of, so I'm just going to load up Google there, folks, and I'm going to look at Google images just to see, does he indeed have a monocle, or if he doesn't. So I'm clicking on Google Images now, Al, so if you bear with me. What is it, the Monopoly guy, is that what you'd call him?
The Monopoly guy, the guy with the top hat and Monopoly in the original Monopoly board.
Right. Well, he doesn't have a monocle in any of these. Now, there's one or two sketches actually where he does, but with the monocle on, it has the Monopoly Man Mandela effect. So, but any of the official pictures, you're right, Al. He doesn't have a monocle. But I remember him having a monocle, because that's the look that he's got. You know, those, gentlemen,
exactly it.
gentleman banker look always had a monocle. You know, because it made him look, I don't know, intelligent, I suppose. You know.
I'll tell you what we were told about the Mandela effect. The people have to realise that the powers that be have advanced tech, really, really advanced tech. And what they've been doing is, because they know that they're losing the game, they're trying to reset the timeline back to 2012.
Did you think they're doing this through CERN?
Well, it could be through CERN, or it could be some advanced tech somewhere else.
Right.
You know, I mean, CERN isn't the only place. I mean, there's more than one CERN.
Yes, there's at least 150, 200 hadron colliders around the planet. CERN being the biggest of them all.
Yeah,
allegedly, anyway.
So allegedly, so the advanced tech they have is just phenomenal. So apparently they're trying to. So this is them playing around, trying to get the timeline. So back to 2012. Now, obviously changes are taking place, but this is not just about things online. People have seen buildings where they've never seen a building. They've seen islands where there's never been islands, and vice versa. So it's not just the things that are online on the internet. There's actually physical things either missing or in place where they were never there before.
Now, can I ask you, have you spoken to anybody anywhere who has described I'll say a Mandela effect in the real world where they live?
No, I haven't spoken to anybody. I've seen stuff on the internet where they said an island was in a place where there was never been an island.
Right.
And if you look at certain maps of the world, countries have kind of moved where they, people are saying, I don't remember that country being that close to that country and stuff like that.
Well, I remember Australia now. You're talking about maps. I remember Australia. We were growing up in school looking at the world map. I can always remember Australia being out there on its own, because there was one thing I could remember about it. It was out there on its own. Now, if you look at a map of the world, Australia is practically touching off Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
They're practically touching each other, and I don't remember it like that.
No, either do I. I remember it being out on its own as well. So all these things is kind of a head buzz. I was going to say something else, but it's again, they're experimenting with stuff. So again, you have to keep an open mind to these things, and you have to remember that these people have technology that could be hundreds, if not thousands of years ahead, because they've been given it by advanced technologies, advanced people. And this is why when they talk about Planet 9 and all these planets they're finding, and they're saying, oh, this is in the Goldilocks zone and this planet could have life, this is all part of the soft disclosure. And there's been a number of countries now releasing loads of information got to do with UFOs and everything else. Just loads, just so much information out there got to do with this. So when people say, when are they going to tell us? Actually, if you go and look, they've told us. They've been telling us for a long time. They've been releasing the information. It's just people, though, they're waiting on somebody like Trump to come out and go, by the way, there's ETs.
And if anyone is going to do it, I mean, Dr. Stephen Greer. Now, I'm not a big fan of his. I'm always on the fence about this guy. He's got a new documentary now that's gone up onto Netflix, I think. I can't remember the name of it now. It's a one-name title, but it'll come to me. I remember watching him years ago, but he was on, I think it was Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. And he said the Roswell crash, he was talking about the Roswell crash. And what he said about the Roswell crash was, they weren't aliens that they found on that, but they were humans, but they were from the future. You know, and this is where they're getting all the modern technology. Because I've always said it, like, look at, you know, pre-1945, you know, say go 200 years prior to 1945, most technology was pretty much the same, right up until the invention of the combustion engine, right? You know, you had horse-drawn carriages, steam engines, that type of stuff. And then from 1945 up to 1980, the technology was getting a little bit better, and a little bit better, and a little bit better. But from 1980 onwards, since the introduction of printed circuit boards and stuff like that, you know, we've gone from a photograph I seen online of I think it was a 5 megabyte hard drive the size of a bus getting loaded onto a truck, down to a terabyte hard drive the size of your fingernail today.
Yeah.
You know, where did they, if they couldn't do this stuff hundreds of years ago, where's all this talent all of a sudden coming from?
Well, the one good thing about what's happening, and I'm watching the time, I just want to kind of leave on a positive. A lot of advanced tech is coming out. A lot of advanced healing tech is coming out. You know, we talk about the Pain Genie, and we've just got the Spooky 2 in over from John White in China. And the Spooky 2 is based on Rife Technologies. I'm actually running it now at the moment, would you believe, on my computer. And on Saturday, myself and Steve had a Skype call with a lady called Dr. Ariel Policano, and she's telling us about a device called the Genius. And the Genius and the Spooky 2 use a form of sending remote healing. It's called quantum entanglement. And it's phenomenal tech and what it can do. And I know we don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but all this technology is beginning to come out now, where the Star Trek tricorder is now real. And this Genius, now we've been told by Ariel that she's approved that we can get a download of this software so we can try it. So myself and Steve are going to kick the tires. We're going to try it, and if it does the job, we'll tell everybody. Right. If it doesn't do the job, we'll tell everybody.
Right, so either way, we'll find out whether it does what it says on the tin, so to speak.
Yeah, but you just imagine a kind of Star Trek tricorder on your tablet or your mobile phone, and you can scan your body. And you can go, oh yeah, that's what's wrong with me today. I'll run a few healing programs to heal that now and fix myself.
Be brilliant, wouldn't it?
But that's what it does make.
Right. I mean, funny you should say that, because I was reading, I think it was an article from the Daily Mirror in the UK. They tend to run a lot of small little articles about talking about future tech and stuff like that. They sort of slip it in there, you know. But there was one day the other day, they were talking about 3D printing. And 3D printing is a reality now. They can 3D print a house. They've done it in Dubai already. They printed a house in 2 or 3 days, I think it was. So, you know, we can 3D print anything we want. But they're saying now, with what CERN are doing and stuff like that, with quantum physics and all of that sort of stuff, the report in the Mirror that I read the other day basically said that within 20 years, we will have replicators like what you're seeing on Star Trek. You know, you go to this machine, you type in, you know, chicken curry, egg fried rice, and one will materialise in front of you. Because they're starting to figure out now how atoms work and how they can rearrange atoms into different shapes, different products, different whatever, do you know what I mean? So do you reckon within 20 years, I wouldn't be surprised if they already had that tech, as you just said.
They have the tech already. They have replicators.
So they can replicate anything they want out of thin air.
Basically, because it's all energy.
Yeah, everything is energy. We know that. I mean, I understand on a fundamental level exactly what that article is referring to, you know what I mean? That it can change, you know, the energy that it picks up from the ether or whatever and turn it into something else, transmute it into something else.
Yeah, because everything is energy and everything has a frequency. And when you know what you know that it's atoms and you know the frequency of the atoms, then it's just using science to make that real. And they have the advanced tech to do that.
I mean, that sort of ties in with what we were just talking about there a few minutes ago, the Mandela effect. When you think about it, if they're indeed changing, you know, the nature of reality, you know, our memories and stuff like that, if everything is energy, and as you just said, they've already got replicators, they probably had them for the last 30 or 40 years. Yeah. It sort of gives you an indication of what this Mandela effect really is. They're actually, they can manipulate physical matter because they know what it is. They know that it's just energy, as Bill Hicks said, it's just energy condensed to a slow vibration. Yeah. So they just change it from one thing to the other.
It's just the knowledge has been taken away from us. We can manipulate and control energy. I think I talked on your show before about what I did when I went for some Reiki healing with a friend of mine a few years ago.
Yeah, it did indeed, Alan, yeah.
About manipulating energy. So we have the ability to do it as well. We just don't have the knowledge. It was taken away from us. Purposely, it was taken away from us.
But we do have the, as human beings, we have the capability of, changing our reality around us. I mean, some people might think that that's just bunkum, but evidently it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've basically, I think, forgotten who we are and what we are.
Exactly. And that's what we need to do. We need to get back to that.
And the sooner the better. Listen, Al, I have come up to the end of the show. I'd like to say thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Haven't spoken to you in a good while, so thanks very much for coming on, Alan.
No problem. Thanks.
Now, listen, do you just want to mention, because I know you're involved in, external projects outside of OYM. One of the things you're involved in is the local men's shed in Clonmellon. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
Right, can you tell us a little bit about that before you go?
Yeah, basically, again, when I say to people about make sure you have a little bit of cash and electricity and stuff, I'm making a raised bed in the men's, and basically it's for just growing my own food. Because for people, if you want to see a movie called Silent Green with Charlton Heston, they predict that it was made in 1973, but it's a prediction of 2022 where you're not getting food, you're just getting, let's just say, I'm not going to spoil it, but you're not getting food. So I want to try and start getting into growing my own food. So this is an experiment. So I made my own raised bed, and I'm going to finish it off this week and then get it home and then set it up. And
start growing some vegetables and stuff like that. And I think if more and more people start doing that and becoming self-sufficient, we'd survive any impending disaster, as it were, if anything was to go down, so people would be able to survive. Because right now, as you well know, Al, if the shit hit the fan tomorrow, most people would starve to death because they wouldn't have a clue how to make their own food or grow it or get their hands on it.
They'd be knackered.
They wouldn't know what to do. Listen, Al, give your website address out there just for anyone that doesn't know it.
Yeah, if anybody wants to find us, you'll find us on www.oymradio.com.
And you have a show every Sunday night from 7 till 9, isn't that right?
That's bang on.
Right, that's grand. OYM Radio every Sunday night, folks, 7 till 9. You'll get Alan and Steve, and the show is always a fabulous show. Great guests. I love it. I've been listening for years, and I will never stop listening. Anyway, Al, thanks very much for coming on. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you again very soon.
Cheers, Mick. Thanks.
Cheers, Al. Thanks very much. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that was Alan James from Open Your Mind Radio Ireland. This has been the World You Don't Know radio show. I have come to the end of the show. And remember, folks, as I always say on my show, the world is full of wonderful people. And if you can't find one, be one. Talk to us all very soon.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, to secret oaths, secret proceedings.
Breaking humanity, one soul at a time. This is the World You Don't Know radio show with your host, Nick O'Connell.